Christopher Spera. This is the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 167. Stop being so picky. Recorded live Sunday, April 5th, 2026. Right here in good old iTechGear Central. As I said, I'm Christopher Spera, the editor-in-chief here at the iTechGear.org. So we've got a special episode today. Most everybody is not here, and Mr. Chris Gavula decided to go ahead and he called an audible, didn't you? You called.
I kind of did.
You called an audible and said, "Let's go ahead and let's do the twofer thing. We haven't done it. Let's do the thing. We haven't done the twofer in a couple of years, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do.
So it's kind of iTechGear Light. Call it iTechGear Weekly Light.
There you go. All right.
Kind of like that.
So stop being so damn picky. So there you go.
Not being so picky. There we go.
That's off. Fabulous. So I want to go ahead. I want to get us into our first of all, it is Easter Sunday, and Brother Joe McLaughlin and Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin are spending time with family. And since my family has been in and out over the last 3 to 4 weeks, spending time with my wife's in-laws in Arizona, I've been batching it basically for almost 3.5 weeks, and so it's just me and you tonight here, Chris. And I want to go ahead and I want to start us off. This is one of the things that is really kind of interesting, and it's always fun, and it's always awesome to see a company succeed like this. And well, not that Apple hasn't succeeded, but when you hit a 50th, when you hit the golden anniversary, when you hit the 50th year, there aren't that many companies that are really around that long. I mean, you can go back to some railroad companies. You might even be able to go back to you're coming up on some of that with some airline companies, but it doesn't really happen all that often.
Actually, yeah, you're right. We had AT&T. That was the big one everybody knew, right? They've been around forever. Delta Airlines just hit 100 years.
There you go.
They I think it was last year they hit it. It's sometime in the last year or so they hit it.
Yeah.
So they're like the first of the airlines to hit it. So there you go. I mean, it's a big thing. And
right. And so
and
Apple.
It's nice.
And so Apple has hit their 50th anniversary,
And it's nice we can start with a fun story, right? Rather than something we're nothing to complain about here. Right. I think in this case, we're going to talk a little bit about some of these things that they're doing, and we'll have links for this.
Yep.
They're doing a 50th anniversary exhibit and kind of show of sorts.
Yep.
And you can see a bunch of the old stuff. You can see artwork and photos from different things. There's some actually fascinating pictures in the first link that we give you here.
Yeah.
Just amazing, the stuff that, again, photos from some of their big ads that they did, some of the videos from things, and but to see things like the original 128K Mac is fascinating. You and I both remember we were on 512K Macs, same generation.
No. We were on the original 128s. I know this for a fact because the 512 did make so. Chris and I met while going to school together at a little was actually Michigan State's former honors college. All right.
Yeah, they were separate by then, but yeah.
Right. But by the time that you and I attended, it was the college formerly known as. All right. But it was Oakland University in Rochester, Michigan. Professor Wallace Anderson, wonderful woman.
Really good.
Went ahead, and I don't know how she struck this deal, but she got the university to get into bed with Apple, and she started teaching a class in word processing.
It was a composition course done on word processing.
Well, yeah, but the whole idea here is that it was specifically done on Macintosh 128.
Well, and they were also using it as a study to see how things were produced and how they were received by people who read the docs. They were doing kind of studies at the same time to see how that worked, as opposed to the old way, which was doing it on a typewriter or even handwriting in some cases.
Yep.
And there were some fascinating results several years later about, how people received that material. But these were 128K Macs. And we had 512s there. We had those as well.
We
But
did. We did get
but
them, but and those were the very popular machines.
those were the pop because they were a little bit faster. They, you could document could be a
Not as
little
much
bigger.
disk swapping.
They booted off the floppies. The floppies
Yep.
were the little 3.5 inches. 3.5 inch drives were new at the
Yep.
time. They talked a lot, and they talked because the motors changed speed in order to get more data squished onto that tiny disk.
Yep.
Because up until then, the disks were not very efficient. The bigger disks were not very efficient.
No.
So this was entirely designed to make that better. So all these things were the little things had weird. Hey, they had personality. So
Yes, they did, and the text editor that we used to bastardize the daylights out of the Finder prompts also made it that much more fun. So
yeah, well, it was Mac Write. Remember, it was Mac Write.
yeah, yeah,
We
and
had
that
at the
was,
time.
you know,
Before Microsoft Word, before all of that.
do you remember what the number one biggest error and problem that we as
You, you mean
instructors, well, it's just
we were assistants? Yeah, yeah.
assistant instructors and monitors in the old word processing lab. Do you remember what the biggest error and problem was?
Well, other than stuck discs,
Other than stuck discs that you had to get out with that wonderful universal tool called a unbent paperclip.
yes, we
All
did
right,
use that a lot.
all right, but the number one biggest problem that everybody had was, do you remember?
uh,
Word
Not
wrap.
off the top.
Word
Oh well,
wrap.
yeah, yeah. What word
Word
wrap
wrap.
was a big
At
problem.
the end, they were so, and this goes and speaks to the paradigm that happened. Everybody was so used to hitting enter at the quote unquote end of a line, like you do on a
Yeah,
typewriter, right? Um, that they would get to the point where all of the text would skew and just trash itself across
true.
the entire page. And it was simply because there were, too many carriage returns. And we kept on having to remind everybody, don't hit the enter key. Keep typing until you reach the end of the paragraph. Then
Yeah,
enter twice.
they
All
didn't
right.
understand that it was doing it automatically for
Right.
them,
It would
sort of
wrap the
on the
text
fly.
around on its
Yeah.
own.
That
Right.
was a new concept for people. They didn't get that.
Mm-hmm.
They also didn't understand that there was a difference between a carriage return and a line feed. They were different. They were
Absolutely.
different things and different key combinations to make that happen.
Right.
All these things had an effect on it, but people learned,
They
and
did.
eventually these became
They
the
did.
standards and the norms. But it was new at the time. Nobody knew this. Um,
Right.
but these are the kinds of things. These are kind of experiences that an exhibit like this kind of brings back for me. I remember these kinds of things.
Right.
I'm
And
kind of hoping they put this in VR. There was some conversation about them possibly
oh, I
filming
hope
this
that they
in
do. I
VR.
hope that they
That would
do
be
because it
very
would
cool if they
really be
did.
kind of cool. But the nice thing about, some of the pictures that you see, courtesy of 9 to 5 Mac, show
Yeah.
the Mac iMac G3
Oh, I
in,
remember
in
that
that
thing.
original teal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And clear plastic.
Yeah.
And then right next to it, you've got the original Mac 128, which was quote unquote portable. But
It
think
really was,
portable,
though. It did have a
but think
handle and it
portable
was
for
well balanced.
1984 though. Think
Yeah.
portable for
It
1984,
was
right?
heavy,
It was quite heavy.
but the handle balanced well. It was okay. It was
It
all right
did.
to carry around. We could
It
move them
did.
around pretty well.
You could.
Um,
In fact, I remember Wally walking in with one in a quote unquote case, and it looked like
mhm.
that. It looked like she was carrying like a an igloo container.
Yeah,
It
it's
was a
like a
soft
mini.
case. I mean, she had it slung
Yeah.
over her shoulder and stuff,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but it was huge. It's absolutely huge comparatively.
But
You
but
know.
this show has those. This show has phones. It shows the
Mm-hmm.
history of the phones. It has
Right.
cases. It has watches. It has iPads. It has like the whole history of the history of Apple is kind
Of
of
Apple. Right.
hiding in here. A lot of
Right.
experimental stuff that they did, and
Right.
just
Culminating in Bad
fascinating.
Bunny's Super Bowl show. So there you go. Um,
Fair enough.
I mean, they've got artwork, they've got commercials. The 1984 commercial, simply
Yeah,
iconic. They've
it
got
really was.
individual instances of key machines, I would say, including the Apple
Hmm.
One, the Apple II, the Apple IIe, the Apple IIc, the
I remember
Lisa,
this season. I remember
the
all of
Lisa,
those.
you know.
I actually got to play with a Lisa once. There weren't many of them out there, but
No,
I actually
well,
got to play with one once, and
the
I kept
problem
thinking,
was they were 10 grand, but
well,
yeah.
it was a bit later after the Mac was already out because the Mac kind of came after the Lisa. The Lisa was kind of the initial model for all this stuff.
Correct.
And
Correct.
and I remember seeing the Lisa a few years later and playing with it and thinking, damn, this thing is slow.
Yeah.
Because comparatively by then they had advanced it that far that we all went, oh.
Oh, yeah. No, the process of the Motorola processor was what was
Oh, it's a
65,000,
68,000 series. Yeah.
68,000. Thank you.
Yeah, they were all
Um,
those series.
it was really something that was very, very interesting and
And unique for the period.
cutting edge for the time
Hmm.
back in 84, 85,
Yep.
Um, but it was
Amazing
absolutely
stuff.
amazing,
So
truly.
so
Uh,
our other linked article, just so you guys know, is there's a book that came out from David Pogue that talks
mhm.
about the 50 years of Apple as well. David Pogue's been writing about Apple probably as long as I can remember.
Well, as
He
long as
wrote
there's
some of
been
the
an
earliest.
Apple, right?
Yeah, he's been writing for so long about Apple. So if anybody knows and has followed them, it's going to be him. So he wrote this book. The book is on sale at Amazon, I think, this week. I think was the story.
Came out April Fool's Day, so
It
yes.
did. So it's knocked off a little bit. It's normally retails at about $50, and I think it's like 35 or so
35
right
about
now.
35 bucks right now,
So
you know?
the point is, these two articles kind of talk about this, and I'm sure there'll be more things this year as they celebrate their 50th anniversary. I'm sure we'll hear more
Absolutely.
things. But this is just fascinating to me that they made it this far, and when you look back at the stuff they created,
Oh wow. Yeah.
yeah, it's a thing.
And,
It's a thing.
what I think is really kind of cool. They set the bar. In many
Yeah.
cases, they said, and not just for
Well,
computing, and it really wasn't for computing because it was
yeah.
really IBM that did that for desktop computing. But um, as far as mobile devices, all right, music devices, mobile devices,
Well, but
the
even
iPod, the iPhone, the
but
Apple Watch.
even in computing, we would never have had Windows if there hadn't been a Mac OS to begin with.
Oh, that's true.
So we would never have, and honestly, how
Well,
many years
honestly, Bill Gates wouldn't have had anything to steal if.
and lawsuits and all the other
Yeah,
thing that came out of this whole
yeah,
fiasco. But um, iPhones, we wouldn't really have the Android being the way it is today if it wasn't for the iPhone. Android
true.
was a very different animal when they first conceived of it. They spun
Oh,
and changed it dramatically when the iPhone came out.
and so did
But the
Samsung
Well,
phones for that reason.
what I
Yeah,
was gonna say is Samsung mimicked Apple for years in the look and the feel of the phone and the way that they put their interface
yeah,
on top of
yeah.
Android and all those things. They were doing things to the point that they were threatened to be sued over and over. And these things happen. But you know
And
what?
initially, and
What?
initially, they
Yeah,
won the $1 billion lawsuit. Apple won the $1 billion
they
lawsuit.
did. They did.
Samsung was fined initially
They were.
$1 billion. All right, they got the judgment that they were looking for, and
And to use your
I think it
language,
was greatly reduced.
one second to use
Yes,
your
a whole Sagan.
terminology.
Yes, and even though the amount was greatly reduced, I think ultimately it went away. But I could be wrong.
But
Um,
in any case, eventually everybody kind of just said imitation is the highest form of flattery and kind of moved on. Eventually,
it's sort of, yeah,
yeah, sort of,
sort of.
sort of. But they still mimic them in a lot of ways. They still
Oh,
oh
absolutely.
wait a minute, Apple has the island. Now we're going to have the island. Oh,
Yeah.
Apple's
Hmm.
put the buttons over here. We're going to put the buttons over here. There's a lot of that kind of
Absolutely.
crazy going on. So
Absolutely.
yeah, it's a
Um,
thing.
and I think the starkest example of that is if you look at the device pictures before the iPhone and then
Oh yeah,
after the iPhone,
very different.
it is clear. It's absolutely positively crystal clear. All right. The design language that Samsung took, I'm not going to say ripped off, I'm not going to say stole.
Nah,
All right, but
yeah,
the design language that they copied from Apple, it was clearly a imitation
yeah.
is the severest
Oh.
form of flattery kind of
Well,
thing.
and even if you don't want to say took or
Dare we say stole? Yeah,
stole, if you don't want to use those terms, then they mimicked as closely as they could without getting into more legal trouble than they did.
true, true.
That's kind of what they did.
Yeah.
And we get it because and it worked for them. It really worked for them, believe it or
It
not.
it it did, and all of this part and parcel of the huge 50 years worth of history, which in technology years is absolutely ancient,
So,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. So all we can say, Apple, is
Happy
congratulations
anniversary.
and
Happy
happy anniversary
anniversary.
and good on
Congratulations.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good on you. You
exactly.
made it. And speaking of huge things that are happening with Apple, um, this one I think is amazing, right? Um,
It's hysterical.
well, it is because of all the things, right?
Yeah.
Colors. The iPhone Pro and the Pro Max, um, orange, the cosmic orange has led to a huge increase in iPhone sales in China, haven't they?
It has. And it's funny because we always make fun of the fact that people seem to be focused on iPhone colors and Mac colors for that matter. But it's like that's more important than anything else, really. But this is what people focus on. It's a
Yep.
thing for them.
Yep.
And in this case, there is some validity here because it led to like you said a huge growth, especially in China and in the rest of the world because people want to be seen with the latest one, and people know you have the latest one if you had this orange color. And
Well,
so that's a
interestingly
big thing.
enough, and I looked at this and I said, "Oh my God, the people in the citizens of Chicago have got to be absolutely losing their minds because
Oh,
the
yeah.
only colors that Apple released were Chicago Bears colors. I mean, they were
Oh,
this
yeah. Yeah.
cosmic
Good point.
orange and they were that
The
dark,
dark
dark
blue.
blue, right?
Yeah.
And those are the only two colors aside from silver, I think,
Aside from silver or
that were
titanium or
available
whatever
for
it was. Yeah.
The iPhone Pro line, the Pro
Yeah.
Max.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that from a pro perspective, first of all,
Yeah. No
the
black. That was surprising.
yeah, no black and or even space gray or
Nothing like that.
charcoal or
Yeah.
nothing. No, it was the midnight blue or the darker blue, the indigo, and then the cosmic orange, and then silver, and that was it. And
Yeah. Just insane.
it's Apple's always what I don't understand. This is what I don't understand about all of this is that I know that there's more than one type of phone. I mean, the iPhone series, all
Yeah.
right? They're
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
basically budget phones, right? They're all basically budget phones. The iPhone Air, the iPhone SE, they're all budget phones. They're all well under $1,000. The Pro and the Pro Max are your higher end phones. Why does Apple think that people that go after that class of phone would not be interested in the
I,
colors?
I suspect, and this is just a suspicion, is that originally when they first tacked on the pro moniker to everything,
Yeah.
my guess was that pro meant like truly professional. Professional people want subdued colors. They want things you
They
could take with
do.
a briefcase into the office and yada yada. And so I think that was the thinking. But what's funny about all of this, these as maniacal as people get about these colors, good and bad,
Hmm.
is that the majority of people still do actually put a case on these things. Now, younger
Very
people do
true.
not. To be fair, a lot of younger people do not. That's
A lot
that's
of the
true.
younger kids don't. That's true.
But a lot of people do. So if you're going to put a case on it
Hmm.
anyway, why are you all up in arms about this so much? It's what's crazy about that.
Well,
But let me remind people. So the last piece of this, just fact about this particular thing is we just talked about the fact that sales just jumped hugely in China over
almost
these sales.
40% of the entire sales of
But
iPhones
what's
in China
scary?
are cosmic orange iPhone
But
Pros.
well, what's scary? Well, no, that caused 40% growth in China.
Oh, well,
40% of the overall sales worldwide
okay.
are orange, and that's what I thought was fascinating. The side effect of all
Okay.
this.
Okay.
So both around the 40% mark. But the point
Sure.
is, it grew in China hugely, and worldwide, 40% of the iPhone Pros and Pro Maxes that are sold
People are
are
walking
cosmic
around
oranges.
40% of all iPhones worldwide are orange right now.
And so you keep in mind as we look at the iPhone 18s, which are coming soon. The big rumor is that there's going to be red, a darker red coming out for
Even
those.
though Apple dropped the
Well, they
product
dropped
red
product red,
brand,
yeah, the labeling,
right?
right.
You know,
Um, and so it's going to be interesting if they do, in fact, and there's a lot of rumors about it, and they've been pretty much started since the beginning of the iPhone 18 being talked about, and
right.
they've been consistently there over and over and over. So odds are good it probably will happen, but the point is, whether it does or doesn't, I think red is a color that will do very well in Asian countries. It's a big color in there,
Oh,
and it's
it is the
and
lucky color.
and I
It is
think
the
people
lucky
want it.
color.
I think people are going to want it here as well. I think it's going to be. It's last some of the stories have said, well, orange is the new black because the way the orange is sold. I think
Yes.
red's going to be the new orange. I mean, it just
It may
is.
well be, but why is it again? And you said it earlier. Why is it that everybody's going after the orange?
I don't know because it's the latest
Because
and
they want
greatest.
to be seen as having
They
the latest
they
greatest phone.
Well, and somebody said, well, why didn't that happen with the blue they had previously or the purple that they had previously? Because those were dark, subdued colors. Even though they were colors, they were
Right,
darker and they were more subdued. They
right.
weren't vivid. We have not had a vivid color on the pros until this orange. Now we do. Red is going to be a vivid color compared to, black or gray or blue or
Right,
whatever darker colors they
right.
put in. So, you know, what I think they ought to consider doing? Give us colors similar to the Neos, to the MacBook Neos. Those
What
colors have taken
it would
off.
do a really great thing of sort of color coordinating everything and sort of tying
People like
those
that.
lines together. And
People
people
like
do
that
like
stuff.
that. But you made a point earlier that uh the original thought was, well, people don't want the big bright bold colors. They want it more subdued because it's more business-like
That
and
was the
more
thinking. I think that was the
the thinking,
thinking.
right,
I don't know
right.
that I agree with it, but
But when you're VP of HR or your chief people officer, your chief HR officer is
yeah,
walking around with a Hello Kitty phone case, what the hell difference does it make?
I know.
I mean, seriously, you
I
know?
think the world has changed a lot since the pandemic, and our thinking when we go out professionally in business isn't that we don't dress the way we used to dress.
No,
We
not
don't
even
carry
close
ourselves the
to.
same way. So
No.
I think those rules aren't necessarily applicable anymore. They might have been 5 years ago, but I don't think they're applicable now.
And it may come back somewhat because
It might,
the return
yeah,
to
it
office is
might
starting to, gain a little bit of steam. Not a
a
lot,
little
but
bit,
still a little bit of steam.
some, yeah,
Right. I know that there are a lot of companies that are saying, hey, we're not fully remote, but we're not
true,
fully in the office. We're quote unquote hybrid. So 3 to 4 days you're going to be in the office, and 1 to 2
yeah.
days you're going to be at
But
home.
I still people see people coming in the office. They're still wearing jeans.
They are wearing
They're not
jeans.
wearing,
Yeah.
they're not wearing dress slacks or even Dockers. They're wearing
No,
jeans,
no, it's jeans
and
and tennis shoes and then
it's
maybe a button down
yeah.
shirt or something,
You're there to be there. You're not there to impress
Hmm.
anybody. You're just there to be there.
Very true.
Um,
Very, very
to meet
true.
the requirement, right? You're there to meet the requirement.
You're there to meet the
Um,
requirement and to provide the value. And as long as you can provide the value, I think the thought is, I don't give a shit if you're in jeans
yeah, it's different. It's different when you're
in
going
a
in.
more
Yeah,
professionalized shirt, not necessarily a t-shirt,
no,
but a
yeah, I
decent looking
agree.
shirt.
It's different when you're going in front of a customer versus just going into the
Oh,
office.
absolutely. And
I think
as
they've
long as you know the
realized that.
difference, as
Yeah.
long as you know the difference and can
Hmm.
dress appropriately for the meeting,
True
dress for the
enough.
meet, then I think most people are fine with it, which is good.
So we do have
So,
one more topic in our Apple zone today.
yeah, we do. We do. And what is it, Chris?
We're going to talk a little bit about Siri again because we do talk about Siri quite a bit on
You
this show.
know, wow. You know,
Yeah, and Siri, I've argued that the Siri delays aren't that big a deal because I think I'd rather they got it right. And I honestly think that what's going to happen, and I said this at the beginning a couple of years ago when we started talking about AI and
what's
stuff.
going on, and happening with them? Sure.
I don't think what we call chatbots or even what we call agentic AI is way these things are going to take off. It's going to take off as little improvements in the products that we use daily, like the things
Hmm.
that have been added to photo apps and things like that. Those
Yes.
little things are what's going to make it happen. And I suspect that Apple's doing the same thing. That Siri will always kind of be a bolt
Well,
on.
and even
But
those little baby steps, I would not
yeah,
necessarily call those things
me
AI.
neither.
What I would
Me
call them
neither.
more, and I think more appropriately, is it's really more of a machine learning or
It is, but machine learning is a part of the AI umbrella,
it is,
such as it is.
but
I
it's
would
not
agree with you.
artificial intelligence. It's not
No,
artificial.
no,
Remember,
but
the AI stands for artificial
true.
intelligence.
true. But I do think the larger thing to keep in mind here is I think that's how AI as a broader topic is going to slip into the door of everybody in general.
Oh, and
I
how
don't
it's
get
going to
I don't
enter in the mainstream? Yeah, sure.
I don't think it's these
The
main. I don't
incremental
think
improvements?
it's
Hmm.
not these big things. It's the little
No,
improvements to the little things that we use and do every day.
it's
It's
the
not the
baby
bigger
steps,
tools.
Bob. Baby
That
step around the office,
yeah,
okay?
that's what's going to get us. They're not, and so I've been saying that. But toward that end, I'm not as excited about whether or not Siri comes out in a big flash or not, and whether it comes out in this version or next version of iOS.
Or
That doesn't
even
worry us
three or
much.
four versions from now,
Yeah,
as long as what we're getting works, doesn't suck, doesn't
that's
steal
that's it.
information or cause privacy or security
Yeah,
concerns,
yeah.
as long as we incrementally
So
improve and it goes in the right direction, I think we're going to be
so
fine.
so toward that end, what I've got a couple of stories here that we've kind
Hmm.
of linked to that basically talk about Apple products, hardware products that are
Hmm.
destined to be coming or should be coming or should have already arrived that may be delayed or may have been delayed because of waiting for Siri to get to whatever state it's got to be in for
Sure.
these products to work. So among those products that we're talking about are the Apple TV
The
4K, the
new
new
the
version,
new
the
Apple
new
TV
one,
machine.
the new one, not the one. There's been Apple TV 4K for a number of years now. This is the new version that they're talking about. It's supposed to be coming out. It was supposed to come out late last year. Then it's supposed to come out early this year. Now it's
You know,
supposed to come out
it's
later this year.
interesting though.
These are
They
not Apple
are
announcements, though. These are not Apple date. Apple has not announced the date for this.
no, they
This is
haven't
what
announced
people.
anything, and
Yeah.
we should note that. And what's being suggested in the
Hmm.
articles that were is that the new Apple TV is going to use the A17 Pro chip. All right.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting is this this is the one chip below what's in the Neo, number
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
which is last year's chip. All right, as of
True.
this recording, it's last year's, so it's a 2025 chip. All
Hmm.
right,
Hmm.
um, and it's not an M series chip. It's not anything that is the latest greatest, which really tells you, God, these chips are powerful. They
Absolutely.
really are. You know,
Absolutely.
I mean, this
And
is the same. The A17 Pro chip is the same chip that is in the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max. Just to
absolutely
give
true.
everybody an idea of where we are. All right, we're fixing to go to the iPhone 18 and 18 Pro, and we're using a chip for the new, or thinking about maybe using the new the A17 Pro from a couple of years ago for the new
Apple
Apple TV.
TV.
You
Yep.
know,
Yep. And let me say, and not only is it the Apple TV we're waiting on, it's also like the HomePod, the new HomePod, the
yep.
new, I don't know, HomePad or whatever they were going to call this
Whatever
other
the heck they're
thing.
going to call this speakers with a screen thing.
Screen thing, yeah.
All right.
So,
You
but all
know,
these are being delayed and delayed theoretically. That's the rumor is that they're being delayed because Siri's not quite where they want it to be for this stuff.
and they want and the thing is that they want Siri to take more of a center stage position
Yeah,
in
yeah.
in this new home pod, whatever the hell you're going to call it,
Whatever
as
it's going
well
to
as the
be,
new Apple TV. They want you to be able to talk to this thing and say,
just
you know, find me this and play it, you know?
just don't make me an Alexa, okay? Don't make me
Thank
an
you.
Alexa
Thank you.
because I don't want one of
Yeah.
those.
Yes.
So,
Alejandra, do me a favor.
yeah,
To quote Keenan and the Saturday night
oh,
Alexa parody, which was funny as
really,
hell.
it really was very funny. That's
Yeah.
true. So those things. So the rumor is that maybe delayed on those. And you know what? I'm okay with that.
I'm fine too because there's a couple of additional improvements that are coming to not just the new chip and the new Siri. They're also thinking that they may stick the N1 networking chip,
I've
all
heard
right,
that too as a
into this
possibility.
thing and bring Wi-Fi 7, which is overall faster Wi-Fi
Yeah,
speeds.
yeah.
They will, you know, in the older versions of the Apple TV, and we're going back maybe to like I want to say 2008, 2009, maybe even earlier. There was user quote unquote user accessible storage on this thing so that you could download movies to this and
There
you could
was.
actually so that you wouldn't have to stream everything. But with Wi-Fi 7 support and the supported speeds that you're going to be getting there, they may actually bring some of that storage back, and they may just
Maybe.
so that because it's going to pull this information a heck of a lot faster than you're going to be able to actually play it. All right.
Yeah.
So that may go ahead and queue it up a little bit. So you may
Cash it up a
have,
little bit. Yeah.
yeah. So you may
Well,
have and maybe it
yeah.
goes ahead and it pulls down the entire freaking
Well,
thing inside of
yeah.
30 to 60 seconds, and then you just sort of do the whole thing right from the storage.
So here's a couple of interesting thoughts. First of all, the current 4K Apple TV 4K has been around for a number of years, and honestly, it still feels pretty good. Strangely
We've
enough,
been using ours for,
it's amazing how much longevity this box has had.
and
So
honestly,
that
I'm not planning on getting anything new, not,
no, no.
or I don't need, it doesn't need to
Uh,
be replaced.
but the second thing I want people to realize, people may or may not remember this, the original Apple TV was actually a bit bigger,
It was like
and
the size of a mini,
it's
the
what
original
became
Mac Mini.
it's what it had a drive in it, and it's what became the Mac Mini,
Yeah.
basically, is
Yeah.
what happened. So they repurposed it, made it the Mac Mini, and then they came out with a new Apple TV that was a much smaller, kind of oversized hockey puck that the
Yeah.
current one is.
Yeah.
So people don't realize we're talking about the history of Apple, the 50 years of Apple. There you go, kids. That was one of the original starting points. That's how the Apple TV first came about. It was
Right.
it
And
was
then the
it
Mac Mini followed
yeah, it was
that
supposed
form
to be a
factor.
TV. It was supposed to be basically a computer that could do some basics on, but using your TV
Yeah.
instead of, and that's what it was originally sort of.
Right.
You could hook your T. You've always been able to hook a keyboard to it or a
Right.
mouse to it or any of that because people wanted to be able to do this stuff. But
Right.
that's what it was, and it became what it is now, which is just a streamer. But it's a good streamer and a gamer,
Right.
which
Right.
is
So that
great.
N1 chip for Wi-Fi with
That'd be
Wi-Fi
great.
7 support is supposed to support 6 gigahertz connectivity. It's
Nice,
faster, it's less congested in this particular bandwidth. All right. And
very
so
nice.
you're going to be able to get better performance overall from this until, of course, that fills up, and then you're going to wind up with the same
Well,
problem.
that'll be exciting though to see if that comes out
It
and
will.
what all these look like. So
Well,
I'm excited.
you
We'll
mentioned
see.
Bluetooth. You mentioned
I
Bluetooth,
did.
and you're looking at Bluetooth 6 implementation
Oh
for 4K for 4K connectivity on all of these devices for controllers and earbuds, you know,
yeah.
which is really kind of cool. Um, and
Well,
there's even go
people are
ahead.
using for home video chats and things like that now.
Yeah.
So I can see why you'd want all this. I get it.
Yes, yes. And what is even better is that there is there's a rumor. Nothing is confirmed. All right.
Nothing is
And again,
confirmed.
we've been saying this for years until Skinny Timmy comes out on stage and says, "This is the new thing,"
Yeah.
or "This is the thing," and
Yeah.
it costs this much. We don't
Yep.
know. We really don't know shit.
Until then, it hasn't happened. Right.
Right.
I'm
But
with
there
you.
is a rumor that the price on the new Apple TV may actually drop.
I've heard that too as a possibility. You
And it
know,
could be a two sort of model release this time around. But
it might be, there might be what we call the Apple TV today might come out at a lower price, but there might be one, like I said, with the disc or some
right.
additional features that is
Right.
in that high premium kind of pro. What do we call it? Apple TV 4K Pro. I don't know what you'd call it, but
Who knows what they're going to call this? Who knows what they're going to call this? They may go with an Apple TV Pro. Who knows?
yeah,
And again, we won't know until Tim comes out and announces it. But
it'd be nice if they did.
with
That'd be
and
I'd
I
like
know the
that.
one question that everybody's asking is, okay, Chris squared, Chris, when are we going to see this? All
Well,
right,
we are pretty square, but that's
yeah,
another
that's
point
true.
altogether.
All right. Um, and what I would say is, well, we don't have any kind of a release date as of yet.
No,
Number one,
no,
and number two, I would expect that the delay in Siri being part of this and being a
yeah.
huge factor for this, we're likely not going to see anything happen until iOS 27, till the 27s hit.
Well, I'm going to
So
guess.
it's
I'm going to guess
after WWDC and definitely and likely
my
after October when it's released.
Yeah, I think that's true. And of course, you're going to have phones potentially in September-ish, October-ish kind of thing.
Right.
I think shortly after that is when if you're going to see it this year, you'd see it maybe late October, November-ish. And the reason I'm guessing that we have no information
Sure.
from Apple, no
Sure.
dates or anything like that. I
Right.
would guess that because iOS 27 will have been out a little while then. And on top of that, they're going to possibly want to sell a lot of these for Christmas. This is a nice little Christmas
This is
gifty
an
kind of thing.
awesome Christmas. This would be an awesome
So
Christmas
between
gift.
this and the home potty kind of things, that would be if they're going to release them. That's what I would like. I would kind of expect it then. If they were going to do it, that's when I would expect it to come up.
Right. And I would also expect, them wanting to make certain that Siri was tight. All
Absolutely
right.
true. They're
They
going to
and they
have
and
to.
they have to, and it has to be this time. There's been too many ready, fire, aim kind of things going on with Siri
Yeah.
over the last few years. There have been too
I
many problems and missed
yeah.
release dates
Well,
and
and
publicized missed release dates.
you've heard me say it. I would rather they don't release it at all and just keep with these improvements in applications if it's going to be bad.
Or or just get it right.
Well, again, if they
Get it
can't get it
right.
right
Do the
in
right
a
thing,
timely
get it
manner,
right,
if
and
you can't get
then
it right in a timely manner, then just keep doing the little things. Don't
right.
release a half-assed version, please, please, please.
Those of us on the shot know what it is to be truly half-assed at this point.
Well,
So,
you got that right.
because damn,
I'm shifting in my seat now,
oh my
right?
God, literally sitting on my hip bones. Anyway,
Gotcha. So, okay. Well, that
so
was good.
yeah,
That's a good.
that's this week's Apple segment. Short, sweet, and to the point, but some really exciting stuff happening.
There is.
Um, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna move us to our AI segment. This was a little. It's kind of interesting. Um, we've really only got the one story.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
really only the one story in this. And I know, Chris, I'm going to leave this one to you simply because I know
Okay.
that there was a real big point that you wanted to talk about. It's all wrapped around ROI, or return on investment, for
It
AI.
is. So I will talk about broadly before I get into that in detail. Is that we've been talking about AI a lot amongst our group all week, and we're going to talk about more of it next time around as well. I want to point that
Absolutely,
out.
it's an
But
ongoing
today
sort of discussion.
there's a lot of really good points and a lot of really good conversations to be had
Absolutely,
here. But
absolutely.
today, I think I wanted to focus a little bit about that. There was a question that got brought up during the week about why, if AI is problematic, and we agree it still kind of is in a lot of ways. Well, I don't think we all agree, but we mostly agree that it's problematic in some ways.
There are too many people out there that are waiting and seeing and hesitant about pulling the trigger and
yeah.
making this move
So the
for a
question is,
reason. For a reason.
the question is, if it's so negative, why are companies investing so much money? And that's a good question. And so I kind of did a little research and came up with this article
Did
that I
you?
ran into, and this is produced by Deloitte. And Deloitte, for those who don't know, is a big financial services firm,
Deloitte and
and
Touche. Yeah.
Deloitte and Touche. And so they brought up basically the paradox of AOI and return on investment and the lack of return on investment. The fact that basically the returns haven't been there. And so why do people keep spending money on this if the returns aren't there? And
Yeah.
a lot of it reads like they don't know if the returns were because we weren't really measuring the right things. We didn't know what to measure. And so now they're saying that CEOs need to take a top down, CEO down kind of approach to following. So I think that's one of the things going on. One of the things going on is I think a lot of people are it's just wishful thinking. They're hoping it'll improve. They're hoping the investments will prove something. But Chris, you had another interesting point about this and staff reductions that we were
Yes.
talking about, that you
So
and I were
so
talking
it's
about.
it's one of the things the consulting company that I had been working for that had placed me out in a very, very popular um uh, uh retail
Well,
pharmaceutical
retail
company out
chain.
in Deerfield, Illinois. It starts with a W. I won't say much more. Um
That was subtle.
Thank you. I had a very interesting conversation with their VP of operations, as it comes to as and relates to AI um, implementations, and I let her know. I said, "There's a lot of CEOs that are betting on the come with AI, and they're making these investments. They're not getting the results that they want, and part of the justifications that they're using is that they don't have to have all of the staffing that they need. They can, greatly reduce the amount of human capital that they have on payroll, and are paying benefits for, um, because they've made these investments in AI or
Yeah,
agentic AI, and they're finding out not only did they not know, do they not know exactly what to measure or how to measure or where to measure or when to measure or what metrics to put in place, they're not necessarily seeing the levels of success that they thought they would receive after making all of these cuts. And so in this conversation that I had with the consulting company VP of operations that placed me, I had basically said to her, I said, all right, look, I said, you're going to be able to, AI is still problematic. The results that you get are still sketchy in some cases. They're still um, somewhat schizophrenic. They're still somewhat, because we said this in the pre-show. You and I,
yeah,
we were talking about
yeah,
this. Um, you see it in ChatGPT. You see it in Gemini, and I'm certain it's going to be there in Claude and any other of the
yeah.
other tools that are out there. AI can make mistakes. Don't fully rely
Well,
on it. Why are all of these investments coming into play? Why is everybody and their brother,
so
screaming, here's a big bag of
and
money and a can of gasoline. Please take it all and set it all
well,
on fire.
and this article points out that only 10% of surveyed organizations say that they are currently realizing significant return on investment for their agentic AI implementations. Only 10% are getting their money back out of this, so
And
to speak.
why? And why? And companies are going bananas, throwing dollar after dollar,
Yeah,
Sagan after Sagan, billions and billions of dollars at
it's
this.
huge. Numbers are huge.
And
I
and
think
and
that
the support isn't there. Why are they doing all of this? If this was any
well,
other kind of technology implementation, they would have taken the person that made the suggestion, hit them upside the head with
I
a tuna fish and said, "You're fired."
I had a conversation with some coworkers just a few days ago about this, and I'm in a very technical role, very highly
Hmm.
technical role, and I will occasionally ask AI chatbots questions, and they get it right about half the time, maybe a little more than half the time. They get it wrong about half the time. What's worse though is
Mm.
they get it partially right or
Mm.
mostly right, and
Mm.
they miss something important or something key. And that's the most dangerous thing of all, because the point is, if you didn't, and the question my coworkers and I had was, you almost have to know the answer already before you ask the question. And
Sure.
if that's the case, then what do I need AI for?
Right. You
What
have
do,
to
if
know. You have to know how to ask the question.
so
You have to know how to engineer the prompts. You have to have the knowledge to know that the answer that you got back
is
is in
complete,
fact correct and
because
complete.
kids, incomplete information is how we had the plane crash at LaGuardia. Okay,
Yes.
incomplete
Well,
information is how these things happen.
incomplete information, not the full answer is a wrong answer.
Is still a wrong
It's
answer,
still a
it's
wrong
not.
answer. It may be
And in
part of
something
it, but
like
it's not
this,
all of it.
to me, in something like this, it's unacceptable. It just is, because we're now starting to try to depend in some industries depend on this stuff
Absolutely.
for some very serious things, and they're making some very serious mistakes already, and that's a
Absolutely.
concern. That's a concern, and I don't have the time or the patience to wait for it to continue to make these mistakes. They
See,
need
and
to
this
get
is
this
this is
right.
the thing that really sort of gets me.
If my car failed as often as AI fails,
You get a
I
new
would be
car.
I'd be taking it back under the lemon laws.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
Absolutely. You'd
that's
be
the
screaming
concern.
at the dealer to
So
go ahead and fix it.
now, having said that, I want to point out, I do think, and I've said this before, I think that AI is really growing and changing and improving in leaps and bounds, but its
Right.
percentages are not yet. and
No.
and that's the thing, what it can do is better than it could do before, but it still kind of gets it wrong about as much of the time as before.
And again, let's be clear and blunt about this. What you're getting, what you're using is not artificial intelligence. It's not
It's not.
quote unquote AI. It's really machine learning. And if you really want to get down to brass tacks, it's not even what I would call advanced machine learning yet.
But unfortunately, it's all based on models that are, the model's garbage, the output's garbage, and that's what you're getting, because they use the internet for scrapes for so much data, and they really shouldn't have, because there's as much crap on the internet as there is good stuff on the internet. which leads to the
Oh,
schizophrenic behavior, which
well,
leads to the
to be very, very honest, I
on
think
and
that
on.
I think the internet contains more baloney than it actually does factual
Yeah,
data.
but the problem is the internet's very good at presentation,
It
and
is.
so
It
what
is.
happens is when you pull this information from the internet, it really looks good, but it's not, and that worries me. It worries me that people are always believing this because when you really need to take it with a grain of salt,
Well, it's
and they
that
don't
whole
do that.
wag the dog. It's that whole wag the
It
dog
is.
kind of thing, right? If you remember the movie, right?
I
The
do
war is
remember the
over.
movie.
How is the war over? I saw it on TV.
I saw it on TV, so it has to be
It's
true.
over. I saw
And
this.
how many times have people said, "Well, it's on the internet, so it must be true," and they actually say
Absolutely.
it and mean it. We
And
got
they're serious about
generations
yes,
we
yes.
got generations growing up right now that don't know the difference. They don't know how to do any.
Absolutely.
They don't know how to do critical thinking because the internet does it so
Well,
fast. They
let's
just think
face it,
that's
we
right.
stopped knowing to think
So
critically the moment that Walter
so
Cronkite retired. Honest to
so
God, the moment that Walt
there's a lot to
retired
be
or
said there.
died,
If
we forgot
if
how to construct
if
a
I already know how
useful
to do
thought.
something, I honestly believe I already know the answer. I already know how to do something. I honestly do believe that AI can
Yes.
potentially help me do it faster than before.
And
I
this is
agree with that.
exactly getting back to the conversation that I
But
had with my VP of operations.
but
It
if
was
I
all about, look,
don't,
you're not going to be able to like get rid of all of your people and
yeah,
do all of your coding and all of your testing with AI because AI can't do it. It simply cannot do it. It currently cannot do it. What you will be able to do and will be able to do, I think, very, very well is reduce your staff, say, by about a third.
I would agree with that.
All right, with about a third, and therefore not only you'll reduce your staffing by about a third, and you'll also reduce your time to market by about a third. In other words, you'll get about as third
Yeah.
as fast. You'll be able
So
to do one third
so I
faster
yeah,
implementations.
I don't want to say there aren't improvements, and I don't want to say that it
No,
doesn't help at all. It does,
it
but
does.
the problem is, and I think we'll have this more of this conversation next week. Is that the expectations are wrong? That's part of it, but the problem
Yes.
is, why are the expectations wrong? It's not because people are idiots. It's wrong because we've been sold a bill of goods that isn't true,
Well,
and that's a lot of it. You know,
well,
and I
I
think
do want to. I do also. I don't want to put that. It's not because people are idiots
well
comment
they're not.
to bed completely. They may not be, but it is
Well,
silly. It is silly to think.
yeah,
All right, with as much contradictory information as available on the internet. Okay, where all of this stuff is coming from, where all of these large language models get their information from. All right, it is silly to think and incorrect to think that everything that you're going to get from any AI system is going to be 100% factual and 100% correct all the
you
time.
know,
All right.
you
One of
yeah,
the things that I kept on telling this VP was that, look, you're going to be able to get things done about a third faster. You're going to be able to reduce about a third of your costs, and so you're going to be able to produce that much more in a year. All right, but you still need people that are intelligent and smart and know what they're doing to be able to recognize what they're receiving, all right, and what they're getting back to know that it is in fact correct. And they need to be smart enough to know exactly
and
how to ask the questions.
And sometimes, by the way, you're going to spend more time troubleshooting the data you got from
Yes.
one of these queries than you are just if you had just
Yes.
done it yourself in the first place. And I've been down that.
Yes.
I've been down that rabbit hole before.
Oh
Let,
my God. I can't. And the best
yeah,
example that I gave this VP because she wanted proof. And I said, all right, look, I said, I've done development with an AI. And I said, okay, you are the lead developer. I'm the lead tester. Here's a document that specifically outlines everything that you are responsible, AI, for delivering to me with every build that you create. You function as the lead developer. All right. You must produce all the things. You must produce the documentation. You must do all of the unit testing to make certain that
mhm.
I'm not wasting my time. All right. As the human involved in this, and then I want all I want a list
Yeah.
of bugs. I want a list of issues, problems, so that I can go back when I bump into something and I have a problem. I can go back through all of your documentation and see exactly as I would in real life if it weren't completely all done by peoples. All right. Go
Yeah.
through all of
Yeah.
your unit testing results and find out, did you see the same things? Did you bump into the same problems and how did you resolve them?
Uh,
And why is this recurring? All right. If you did. Um, and what happens is the AI continually forgets what it needs to do, what it needs to deliver. It constantly disobeys its objectives. All right. As an example, don't strip out any problematic functionality. Leave it all in. All right. Don't
yeah.
pull anything out. And what I found was that the system continually focused in and focused in and focused in and drilled in to the point where it left a whole bunch of
I
others of all this extra
yeah.
functionality that was part of all of the requirements out, didn't
I
iterate on that code
I
at
was going to
all.
say, I've seen where I've talked to coders and seen where it'll go give you a piece of code. You'll find a bug in the code. You'll say, hey, no, there's a problem with this particular section. You did this, and it needs to do this instead. You'll give it correcting information, and it'll go back and change other sections that it thinks is supposed to match the section you told it. You only told it to work on one section, but it's working on all the sections, completely breaking all the code again.
Or
That
it will
happens,
go ahead and strip things
or
out
strip things out that weren't, and
and then
focus on, yeah,
not know how or
how to get
where
back.
to get back to
Yeah,
remerge all the
yeah.
code back in.
These are things that have to be resolved. The other example I'll give is I'll ask it a technical question. I can tell that it didn't quite get it right, and I'll say, "No, this is actually the truth. You got that piece wrong." And it'll come back and go, "Oh yeah, you're absolutely right." Blah 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 blah, and it'll
My
correct
bad,
itself.
bruh.
And
My
I'm like,
bad, bruh.
"Okay." And my response is, "Okay, then why the f didn't you get it right in the first place?"
And it
And
says the
that's why
same thing. I'm
and
sorry,
that's
my
and
bad.
and that's why I can't depend on it. And I'm not the only one. I'm not. Yes, I'm doing some technical stuff, but even on regular stuff, if I can't trust it to do the technical stuff right, why should I trust it to do the simple stuff right? Why should I ever trust it? If you're going to get it wrong, you're getting things wrong. Um, the one other example I'll give you, Chris, you and I years ago used to do a lot of stuff about GPS
Yes.
support.
Yes.
And early on in GPS, because GPS is kind of a weird early machine learning with mapping data kind of thing, but
Yes.
it learns how to create routes based on some parameters you give it.
Yes.
And so early on, I remember having a conversation with some friends of mine who were using GPS software for the first time, and they were fascinated by it. And they
Mm-hmm.
told me that we're going to an area we don't know very well, and it's going to do this and it's going to do that, and it's telling us to do this. And all of a sudden, it told us to go across a bridge that didn't exist anymore. The bridge was out, and they
Yeah.
got stuck and didn't know how to get back out of it. And I said back then is the same thing I say about AI today. Take it with a grain of salt. You have to be in control. You have to be in front of it because it's
Yes.
going to make mistakes, and it's not going to be right 100% of the time, no matter what.
Not
And
only
that's
is
how
it
I feel
not
about
going to
AI.
be right, not only is it not going to be right, you, as the operator, as the person asking the questions, are responsible for the information that you use, that you get
You are
back and
responsible.
use to present to, or as
And
part of the project, or to present to senior management or whomever.
and by the way, in the GPS example, if the GPS caused you to get in an accident, you're still responsible, kids. I got news for
Absolutely.
you. So
Absolutely.
so
Or if you
use
got
this
lost
tool.
and you ran out of gas because God knows
You're
where
still
you are.
responsible. You're
Because
still responsible.
back in the early
Yeah,
days of GPS, it
yeah.
could lead you out into the middle of nowhere.
Well, and even today, I will have. I tend to run when I travel in the car. I tend to actually use a combination of Apple Maps and or Google Maps, and sometimes Waze, some
Mm-hmm.
combination of those things. And they will not always give me the same answer. And sometimes
Correct.
one answer is better than the other for different reasons. And they don't really explain to you the reasons why they gave you what they gave you. And so I do like this. The newer map apps tend to show you multiple choices these days,
Yeah.
which helps me know what the alternates are. But the point
Yeah.
is, they don't agree. And so you have to be the
Nope.
guy that's smart. So the point is with AI, same thing. You got to be the smart guy because AI is still not. And maybe it eventually will be, but it's not right now. And until it gets, into that 5 nines kind of range that we expect out of other
Yes.
services, till it gets
Yes.
there, I'm going to still be saying, hang on, kids, hang on, hang on. I'm going to say it over and
Right.
over.
Right. So what we're finding overall is that companies are spending an inordinate amount of money
They
investing
are.
into agentic AI or these chat GPT styled, and I with the bunny ears around chat
Yeah.
GPT. All right. Because Gemini is the
They're
same
doing
kind
both.
of, It's the same kind of Claude, ChatGPT, Cursive. It's this all the same kind
Yeah.
of things. You ask a question, it provides an answer. You ask another question, it provides an answer. You say, it'll tell you, hey, I can take what I just gave you and do this. Would you like me to do that? Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Give me that too.
Yeah. Go
All
ahead.
right.
Give me that.
It's
Yeah.
still you. It's still your butt. You're still the operator behind
Yeah.
the prompts that's responsible for it all. All right.
So,
You're the
you know,
you're the one that needs to know and understand
okay.
exactly what and
You,
why am I getting and
you don't want to keep your eyes off the road when auto drive is taking over things. Okay, kids, this is the same
absolutely.
thing. Do not
It is the
believe
exact same kind of
do
thing.
not
You are
believe it will
still the
always be
one that
right.
is responsible. All right.
You know,
You are still
you are still responsible.
right.
So
When the accident gets caused, like you said, all right, they're not going to put handcuffs on your phone or
now,
the
or the
software
car or
or
anything,
the car or the software or whatever. They're going to put handcuffs on you because you were the one that was
yeah.
stupid enough to trust the machine to do
And
your job.
your insurance company still isn't going to pay if that happens.
Absolutely.
So
They
there
are
you
still
go.
going to hold you at fault. All right.
So anyway, that I
Yeah.
think we and
We've
we're going to
beaten
go
that
about
one to
we're
death a little bit,
and
but that's okay.
and we're
I'm
going to
going to
talk
go
about it
ahead.
again. I know we are.
We'll talk some more of this next week when we've got the full crew back. Or next time when we got the full crew, but whether it's
Yeah,
next week or next time or whatever. But we'll talk again about some of these things and
we
repeat
will.
some of this and we'll get into it a little bit more. But I'm going to go ahead and I want to move us to our mobile segment. Um, we've got some really interesting, a couple of interesting stories in here. The first
We do,
one,
don't we?
we do, and I don't understand. Well, I do and I don't. All right.
Yeah, me too.
Um, Google Meet has been released for Apple CarPlay. And the interesting point here is that it came out for Apple CarPlay before it came out for Android Auto.
Yeah. So let's point out that Google Meet is basically a meeting app. If the name wasn't clear enough,
Hmm.
and its competitors, primary competitors, are things like Microsoft Teams and Cisco's WebEx.
And
Those are probably
Zoom
and
or
Zoom
whatever.
and
Yeah.
Zoom and virtually everybody else already has meeting support for your automotive solution. And basically, it's an audio only support for the most part. And so you can talk in the meeting and be in the meeting, without
Right.
having to call into the meeting, right? You
Right.
can
And
use
the
the app,
idea here is okay, I'm in the meeting and I'm in my car and I'm driving to the office and I can go ahead and take part in this meeting at the very, very least, listen in. All right.
right?
So that I don't have to catch up with somebody later on and say, hey, what happened with the meeting?
And you don't have to remember esoteric, weird conferencing phone numbers to call into it or anything
Right.
like that. You just
Right.
use the app, say, "Oh, here's my meeting," click, and you're in the thing, and you're
Right.
going.
It uses your phone
So,
connection. It uses
so
the
they're
internet connection on your phone to go ahead and stream the audio.
so they're a little late to the party to begin with,
Teams
and
has been doing
so
this for years.
and so has WebEx and so some others. I
Yep.
mean, they've been at it for a long time.
Yep.
But the point is they finally released it for iOS and they're leaving Android Auto a little bit behind. It's coming for Android Auto. They're just not ready for it yet. And the argument has been it's not there because they have other integration things to do to make it work with Android Auto. And my response is, what? It's like audio. It's audio only in the car. You're not going to send your pictures or presentations through the screen while you're
And
driving the
honestly,
car.
even though with Teams and I know with Teams for certain, and I'm assuming that with WebEx and with Zoom or some other
Yeah,
sort of thing, yes, you can go ahead and turn the camera on your phone, right? And or you can show um the visuals on your phone, all right? Because on your on the auto display, on the CarPlay display, it is truly audio only, and it will not show you any video or any
well,
other kind of stuff.
and you're
But you
really
can do that on your
honestly,
phone.
but honestly, you're not supposed to turn video on your phone
You're
when you're
not.
driving a car.
You're not.
So that's not part of the integration for the automotive
No,
solution.
no, but you can
So
see it. There's a way to work
so
around it.
anyway, I just thought it was kind of interesting that they've released this out. But this is actually Google's done this before with apps. They've released the
Hmm.
iOS versions first.
Right.
I don't think the integration thing is the issue here. Quite honestly, it's that they make more. I'm going to say this: it's a free app, but it's not a free app because they
You're
collect data on you.
in a free app, you are the product. Your data, your
But
information
they
is the
make
product.
more money from an iOS app than they do from an Android app. That's the bottom line.
That's why it came out in CarPlay first as
That's
opposed to
that's
Android
my
Auto, which
thinking.
seems backward as
But that's a lot. I
yeah.
think that's a lot to do with it, and they can iron out things on iOS before they bring it to Android. I think those are the primary reasons they do it.
And that's
The
all nice,
article,
lovely, wonderful, and good,
yeah, these
but you know,
articles try to
it
make a
does
lot of
make you twitch a little
rationalization.
bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, but the articles do try to make you kind of rationalize why they did this, and I think it's a little bit of a rationalization. The reality is there are some very practical reasons, economics primarily, and not sullying your own space first, kind of are the things I think that they're
Don't
doing.
poop where you
And
eat. Yes, I get
yeah,
that.
I think there's a lot of that kind of thing going on here, and it's fine. But it's like fascinating. Once again, Google's released it for their competitor first. So it's like, okay, here
Yeah.
you go. It's
Yeah.
always kind of fascinating, kind of fascinating. And you had some conversations as well for mobile this time around for our
Well, you know
mobile.
what? But also, speaking of fascinating, all right, this next story I think is really kind of interesting, because it's something that you thought should have happened a heck of a long time ago, all right. But at this point, with it still being around,
Yeah.
you didn't expect it to actually happen. So what is it? Samsung is killing Samsung Messages, their own text messaging app, in favor of Google Messages, which is
And
the biggest duh that you would think would ever be, you would ever
yeah,
see in
yeah,
the
and no,
world
because but again, Samsung has had a long history of rolling their own for things.
for a
And I
number
think
of
part of
different reasons.
and I think a lot of it had to do with keeping the data in
Yep.
house for themselves and things like
Yep.
that. So I get it, but it's a lot of work and it's a lot of money. And I think Samsung's looking to trim a few edges off here. And I think this has a lot
Well,
to
you
do
would
with,
think, right?
well, they're selling well, but they're not selling the way they used to sell. And I think that's a challenge for them. And I think they're looking to, where's the usage really happening? What are people really into? What are people really wanting? And developing a messages app that supports RCS, that supports SMS, that supports, whatever protocols and layers are involved in this. That's a lot of
Hmm.
challenge. I get it. It's expensive. It's very time consuming. The protocols are always changing. The technologies are always changing. The standards are always changing.
Right.
We see Apple struggling with this with iOS and trying to support in iMessages, trying to support RCS and
Yeah.
supporting end-to-end encryption and all these things. These are all challenges, and I think Samsung kind of said, "Okay, we're done with this one."
Well, according to Samsung, right, they're killing its own message client because they want to maintain a consistent messaging experience on Android. And they say that by switching to Google Messages, users are going to enjoy things like powerful security through
Do you
AI powered scam detection and spam filtering, which is all nice, lovely, wonderful, and
do you,
good.
do you think that's actually true? Because Samsung has a lot of competing apps.
They
You
do have
know,
a lot of competing apps. In fact, for many of the they run on top of Android, obviously, and
they do.
they've been doing
They
it for
they
almost
they they
almost
even have
20
their own. They
years.
even have their own version of the browser. Of
Yeah.
the web browser.
Well,
And so
yeah.
but if their goal was to provide a consistent Android experience, then why keep all these apps, these specialized
Why have
versions of the
their own to
apps?
begin with?
Right. That's my point. Why even have them? If your goal is to be consistent, then why do you have all this?
And why did you
No,
wait so long to get rid of your
yeah,
own?
I'm not buying that entirely. There's
You
something else,
know,
and I think it's more about cost, but that's my opinion.
it may, I think you're onto something there. I truly believe this
Maybe,
is more, you may be onto something. All right. And I
maybe,
and
yeah.
I'm lending credibility to it simply because, with the implementation of AI and the massive reductions in force that are going on not just in the tech sector, but everywhere. All right, because of these technology-based tools. Um, you would think that why have a competing app in their own stable when they can use the one
Right.
that is provided by
And
the
we've
OS
said that for years.
manufacturer?
We said that for years. Why do you have your own? There's this other one. Why do you even have your own?
Right, and now it's
But I think
confusing because I don't know
right.
where I'm getting my
Well,
which app is with
yeah.
text messages, which app has got the text messages.
And they have their own app store on top of it, which
Yes,
confuses things even muddies things even more. Um,
absolutely.
but there is a big negative in getting rid of this. And you probably I don't know if you're going to run into this, but if you have a Galaxy Watch earlier than Galaxy Watch 4,
Yeah.
you will no longer be able to see full messages on your watch. That'll fail
You
because
know,
that's a Samsung message only thing.
so I will tell you that I bought the original Galaxy
Ah,
Watch back in the
okay.
day, and it is the one watch that I still have. All right, it's a Tizen based watch. They
It
stopped
is.
supporting
It is.
Tizen 3 or so years ago, or maybe even more. All right. Um, I still use the watch. All right. And it's probably one of the better watches that I've got. All right.
So
Um, it's one of
so
the better digital watches that I've got. It is really a
I
nice watch.
I do want to clarify. When I say you don't see the message, I don't mean the whole message. I mean the message histories are going to disappear. The
Okay.
messages itself you'll still be able to send and receive, but you won't get the histories anymore. So that's what you're going to lose.
Right. So you'll get the message,
You'll get the message,
the
but not the
individual
histories.
instance of the message. You'll
Yeah,
get the message and then its reply, but you won't be able to see
the whole
anything in
message history.
context.
The conversation history goes kind of bye bye.
Right. So you'll get the message or this instance of the notification and the message that goes
But
along with that notification.
this is
That's
only
it.
on watches before Watch 4, I think is what it
Four,
it's
right.
what
Galaxy
so
Watch
but
4.
it's important. It's important. This is not with any abandonware. You lose things.
No, no, but well, it's interesting in that, how and why they kept all this stuff,
Yeah, yeah.
and
It's a
why
thing.
it's taken so long for them to get to the point where they're saying, why we don't need to do this anymore.
Yeah, fair
We
enough.
don't. Not only is Google doing it for us, but they're now doing an okay job because of all the standards and blah blah blahs. All right, and because of all of the improvements that we're seeing all the way around. So if that's something that I don't have as a launch, and One UI is really nothing more than a launcher or
It
something
really
that sits
is.
on top of
It's a
Android.
shell. Yeah,
All right.
yeah. Fair enough.
Um, if it's something that I don't have to support, that I can just rely on the OS to do,
Yeah,
shit. I mean, it saves me money.
but
Why not?
I'm wondering why they don't get rid of their browser at this point and some other apps. There's a few other apps that they're duplicating almost exactly.
I don't know who goes ahead and
So
actually and again, they've got a whole bunch of these. They have their own wallet, right? They have their own
they
wallet
do.
app. They
They
have their
do.
own browser. They have their own messaging app, or used to.
They
They've
did,
got their
right.
own calendar app. All right. They've got their
Yep.
own contacts app for all of your phone contacts. I mean,
They have a
why
lot
do
of
you
stuff.
have all of it? Why?
I don't
Why?
know. I don't know.
All right. Why are you not using for those things that the operating system provides? Why aren't you using the stuff that the operating system has? Why are you
Well,
reinventing the wheel?
early on, I understood it in the sense that the Samsung apps sometimes offered a feature or two that weren't in the
Well,
standardized Google apps.
they were more secure. They were more secure, and
They were.
they were more
They're more
complete.
feature rich, yeah. But I
Right?
don't think that's true anymore for a lot of those
No,
things. But it was,
I don't think
at
that
one
it is
time.
either.
So
You
maybe
know,
it's time. Maybe we're going to see more of these dropping going
and
forward. I don't know.
I would hope and I would think that you would see some of these things. And you're probably what you're probably going to see is all right. Um, you're using this Samsung based app. It's going to be replaced by this app. You were getting our app out of our store, and you're now going to go ahead and get the app out of the Play Store as opposed to our store. You
Yeah,
know,
there you
um,
go.
so
Uh,
yeah, but that's just me, I guess. And
yeah,
and
yeah.
honestly, that's it for the mobile segment for this week. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move us to our Windows and Linux segment, but I'm going to do that right after this brief message. Hi, hi. This is Christopher Spera from iTechGear.org. I wanted to talk with you today about becoming a contributing donor to the site. iTechGear.org has been around for almost 15 years. In fact, our anniversary is just around the corner on January 10th, 2025. 15 years. Where has the time gone? I've never really asked for any kind of donations for the site. It's always been about me providing value to you, a site visitor or podcast listener. The iTechGear Weekly is now in its fourth year of production, and Chris G, Joel, and Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin and I are having a really great time providing you with some of the best free tech talk available from time-tested original internet writers, testers, site founders, and professional writers and editors on the internet. I truly believe that our crew has some of the best and most qualified pundits and commentators on the internet today. And we're not hobbled by any kind of sponsorship or affiliated relationship or other time bought posts. It all comes from the heart. Unfortunately, times are kind of tough. And since the COVID-19 pandemic of 2020 to 2023, yes, almost 3 full years, times have become increasingly difficult for small independent sites like iTechGear.org to stay afloat. You know, I normally do this with a portion of the salary I make from the day job, but with the IT market so tight right now, it's really difficult sometimes for many to make normal household ends meet, let alone fund a site like iTechGear that might decide to bring in a buck or two. You know, it ain't easy. If you find any of our content on iTechGear or from ITGW to be of any value at all, I would seriously appreciate you donating as little as just $1 to the cause. While we do have a Patreon site, it's hard to keep one website up, let alone two. And since it's really only me doing the work, our Patreon site hasn't really helped us at all. If you can make a donation to the site or to the show of any amount, I'd be forever grateful. All donations will go to site maintenance, hosting, podcast hosting, and everything iTechGear related. Donations can be made to my PayPal account at chris@itechgear.org. Make a donation. We'll thank you immediately on the next ITGW episode and voice our gratitude. I want to thank you. We appreciate your consideration, time, and attention. Now let's get back to the latest iTechGear Weekly episode. And welcome back to the iTechGear Weekly episode number 170 or 167. Stop being so picky. All right, now I want to go ahead and I want to move us to our Windows and Linux segment here, and I've got a couple of interesting little doodads, Chris, or at least you came up with a
Well,
couple.
these are fun, aren't
Well,
they?
this next one, honestly, if I
Well,
had
this is
Joel
not
here
fun.
to give us the Spanish fly and the spin of the wheel, I would definitely do this, at least for this first story, out of the
Although this sounds to me more like crashing off the edge of a cliff.
because I mean, honest to God, what the absolute hell is going on with
I
this? I mean,
don't
so
know.
Microsoft, all right, so Microsoft previously said, "Hey, you know, guess what? You can go ahead and get rid of. You don't have to take any more mandatory updates. Period. No more
Yeah, that's what.
mandatory updates.
And they were going to make it, and they were going to pull back some of the stuff that everybody was complaining about. Stop trying to shove AI down our throats. All these things they were going to do.
Right. Until this week, when they said, "Hey, we're going to force you to take this update," which is an update
Yeah,
to Windows 11 25H2, and you can't opt out of this thing. And I'm like, what the hell? It's for your security purposes. It's for your own good.
but I remember several years ago, were they not separating security updates from feature updates? What happened?
They were, but
I guess that got thrown out the window at some point.
honest to God, look, ever since I know I want to go back. Now, the Microsoft Insider program has been around since 2015, so it's been around for more than 10 years. And it used to be, we're going to go ahead and employ a whole bunch, an army of dinglings. Now, I say dinglings because we were stupid enough to agree to this. All right. Now, I'm one of those dinglings.
Yeah,
I'm
I've
still a
been there
part.
before.
I'm
I've
still
been
a
there
part of
before.
the
Yeah.
insider program. All right.
Yeah.
All right. But and we're gonna let them beta test everything, and we'll use their bug reports. As long as we can reproduce them, we'll use their bug reports to do our QA, and they stopped doing internal QA testing. Well, now they're not
Yeah.
even doing that anymore. All right. Basically, what they're using the insider program for is A/B related testing, or this group of people that are going to get um, these
This
features in
feature.
this
Yeah.
build, and this group is going to get another feature. All right. And eventually we'll merge the code together and it'll come out in release. Right. Um, and as many people know and understand, at least, if you've listened to the iTechGear weekly over the last 2, 3 years,
Yeah.
it's one screw up after another as far as Microsoft
Hmm.
quality
Uh,
testing is
and
concerned.
this isn't even just the insider builds. This is the release builds,
Yeah,
the proper release builds that have been hosed up.
yeah.
You'd think they would have figured it out by then, but they haven't. And here we are again. And now they're going to force this thing down people's throats, theoretically, because support for 24H2 ends in October.
Of
That's why
this
they're going
year
to force.
on
That's
October
why
13th, done.
that's why they're supposedly going to force this on us.
Right.
But again, don't call it a security update. You were supposed to separate security updates from everything else. You're
Absolutely.
just you're just shoving this piece of crap down our throats, and I'm not happy. I'm going to be blunt. I'm not happy.
No, what really bothers me, all right, so there's three huge points that people need to understand in this particular issue. All
Mm-hmm.
right. They're forcing the Windows 11 Home and Pro users to update to 25H2. All right. Um, with no opt-out on this. You have to move. All right. Number one. Number two, this mandatory update is going to occur because support, like you said, Chris, is ending on October 13th for Windows 11 24H2.
Right.
Um, and then while you cannot avoid this update entirely, you can temporarily postpone it, though IT managed PCs will remain exempt from this. Um,
Right.
and they
Right.
won't have to go there. But the long and the short of it is, if you have a Windows PC at home, all right, um, you're going to be pushed into this. Period. All right, because
Because
25H2 is going to be the only, well, 25H1 and 25H2 are going to be the only supported versions of Windows 11 Home or Pro on the consumer market after October 13th, 2026.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. You can pee on my head, but don't tell me it's raining.
Absolutely.
And I'm getting
Um,
really tired of this. And you and I've talked about this before. I have postponed and considered completely canceling Windows-based PC purchases
yep.
because of this nonsense. I don't want another version of Windows anymore
No,
because I'm so frustrated
no.
and angry. I want them to
Even
improve.
even the
And
ARM version of Windows, I don't want
no,
anymore.
no, but you and I have had a long history with Windows and
We
with
have.
Macs. And we've had a lot of good things to say about certain flavors of Windows, and we've enjoyed certain
We
things that they've
have.
done. And I think that's why I find this doubly frustrating. It feels like a betrayal again, like they just don't give a crap about me as a customer anymore. And
And it's clear
that's
that they
frustrating.
don't, because if they did, to be very, very honest, not to grab the soapbox away from you and
Please.
never
Oh,
ever give
please.
it back, but if they cared, if Microsoft truly cared about the experience that they were providing to either enterprise or consumer-based customers,
True.
they would test the software before they release it. They
Yeah.
would have quality testing on
Well,
their own. And
and
it's clear that they don't, because some of the issues and problems that they're having, all right. And I'm going to pick on Samsung and the Samsung
sure.
C drive, because
And
it's
it's not
so
Samsung's
so
fault, by the way,
grassroots and
kids.
fundamental.
This was not Samsung's fault, by the way, kids.
No, this was all on Microsoft. All right. They screwed up an access control list file, or an ACL file, access control list ACL, um, that prevented the computer, or the root user from being able to access the C drive. And had they,
Oh,
and this is a big enough problem and a such a foundational grassroots related issue that if they were paying attention at all to any of the testing that they would
Right.
have been able to see this.
Yeah,
All right.
this was really, but this isn't obviously, and we've talked about this almost every week.
About 3, 4 weeks ago, we brought this up.
All these topics, I mean,
Yeah.
about these mistake after mistake after mistake,
Right.
and there clearly is a pattern of just not giving a crap about the customer anymore,
And
despite what they say, they're clearly not listening. So here we are,
no,
and guess
because
what?
if they were, this wouldn't happen.
And this extends to their office apps, and this even extends off the planet, doesn't it?
I mean, honest to God, you know,
It
this one, I
it
saw the headline on this, and I'm sorry, I just can't.
and this one has made the mainstream news as well. This isn't even just a tech news story.
No, Microsoft's. I'm going to read the headline here. Microsoft's buggy apps reach deep space. I have two Microsoft Outlooks, and neither one of those is working, says Artemis 2 Commander. All right. Commander Reed Wiseman reported a frustratingly familiar software glitch on his Surface Pro during the first crewed lunar mission in over 50 years. So this man cannot get NASA uses,
So,
obviously, Outlook
yeah.
in the office,
So
and
so
they
let me
can't send and receive emails via Outlook.
so let me make it clear, Microsoft. Not only have you pissed off most of the users on the planet, you're now pissing off users off the planet.
As well. Yes. All right.
Congratulations.
Honest to God, I mean, you have to, you have to ask the question, who the hell is minding the store? Who's paying attention over there? Do they have a QA manager? Do they have a QA director? Do they have anybody responsible for testing at all?
It's a guy named Bob in the back barn.
Oh, and he's taking baby steps
He's taking
around
baby
the
steps.
office. All right.
Well, he's got to
Baby
feed
step
the
around the
chickens.
office,
He's
Bob.
got to feed the chickens first.
What about Bob?
What
Mm-hmm.
about
Honest to God. You know,
yeah, not feeling the love from Microsoft lately, just not. No.
no, and this. I'm sorry, but this is basic stuff. All right, the operating system can't access the C drive. Users can't get access to mail,
Yeah.
either through the new quote unquote new Outlook or Outlook Classic. They can't
Okay.
get.
It does a lot of things, don't get me wrong, but it has one primary function.
You had one job.
One job.
You had one job.
And its job is not to repeat the computer. That's not its job.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you, Sigourney. I appreciate you.
Movie throwback there. Sorry,
Yes.
guys.
Yes, for those Galaxy Quest fans, we have used these words in a sentence.
Yeah, I have one job. It's stupid, but I'm going to do it, she said.
Yeah.
Well, apparently Microsoft and Outlook are not going to do it.
No.
Apparently.
No. All they had to do was allow you to send and receive email, which we've been able to do since the days of Usenet back in the 1970s. All right. And now all of a sudden, you can't do it anymore.
Yeah. So there you go.
This is fundamental. It is fundamental. Why in the world can you can't?
I really want a positive Windows story, but I haven't had one in a while, and I'm just disappointed and sad.
Well,
and angry.
You know, we make fun of Microsoft every week for one specific reason, because they're big enough. They're big enough that they can handle it.
But they keep doing it.
But they keep on doing it. Nobody over there is learning from the mistakes. Nobody is changing how they're doing what they're doing. Nobody is making a difference. Nobody is saying, maybe we should do something different. Maybe we should do something about this.
Yeah, well, it hasn't happened, that's for sure.
I don't get it.
I don't either. I'm just so disappointed all the time.
I'm sorry. I'm all right. Take the soapbox back. All right. We're gonna move.
Fair enough.
I'm gonna move us on to our tip of the week.
Okay.
All right. But before we actually get to this week's actual tip, I want to remind everybody, that iTechGear was founded specifically with the intent of making technology easier for everyone to use and understand. And this team specifically has dedicated their writing careers to that specific purpose. So each week, the iTechGear Weekly is going to feature a new computing tip, authored by one of our experienced editors. And if you've got questions, concerns, requests, or dare I say ideas, you can go ahead and send those over to tips@iTechGear.org. And if we use your stuff on the air, we'll give you your 15 seconds worth of fame. This week's tip is called Use Surge Protection and Power Backup. Power surges with out here in Chicago, and you're probably getting the same amount of storms over there in Michigan that we've
We've
got
had a lot
because
of storms.
only
Yeah.
because I like you, we send everything to you that we get.
You send everything to us. Thank you so
Yeah, you're
much.
welcome.
We appreciate
All
it.
right, but there's been a lot of storms in the last week or so
Yeah.
hitting the Midwest area. We've had power outages, plenty. Um, we've had issues, concerns, and problems. And anytime the power flickers or anytime the power goes out and it comes back, all right, you're gonna get what is called a power surge, which is why you have surge protectors or you have power spikes, and why you have a spike protector for your electrical lines. Um, and those power surges can damage your computer and can cause data loss. And it's smart if you have some kind of a surge protector or uninterrupted power supply or a UPS. All right. A surge protector will go ahead and shield your plugged in equipment from sudden spikes in electricity, which can happen during storms or outages or even when the power is restored. All right. A uninterrupted power supply or UPS can go a step further by providing not only a way to block that power spike or dip in power, because a brownout, it can be
Yeah.
just as bad, as hitting you back with the spike. By evening out that power and providing you the opportunity to either finish what you're doing, save your data, and then power everything down safely so that when it comes back, you don't have to worry about it. All right. Um, this is especially useful for desktop computers that don't have built-in batteries like laptops do. Using a surge protector also extends the life of your devices by preventing
It
hitting
does.
electrical wear. For critical systems such as work computers or servers, a UPS is an affordable safeguard against downtime and lost data. Protecting your computer's power supply is a simple but often overlooked way of keeping your system safe and reliable. And yes,
It's big.
it's just as easy as going to Walmart, going
I
to Meijer, going
yeah.
to Target, and buying a surge protector for $10, $15.
I would argue sometimes that the cheaper ones are not the way to go.
Agreed.
It depends on how much stuff you're going to plug into it.
Better than nothing, but agreed.
But it's an improvement over having nothing, and it will still help you with the brownouts. It wouldn't
Yes.
help you if you got hit with lightning at the house if it's a cheap
Mm-mm,
one.
mm-mm.
But the point I'm getting at is that, and they're a bit, you can spend a little bit and you can spend a lot.
Right.
This is something you got to do, kids. Everybody says, "Oh, it won't happen to me. It won't happen to me." Guess what? It happens. I can't tell you how many times.
Yes, it
I
will.
can't tell you how many times I've talked to people that have lost stuff because, and it doesn't have to be like he just said earlier. It doesn't have to be a major hit. Even a brownout can damage your equipment.
Even a dimming,
Even the
all right?
dimming can damage your
Even a
equipment. It can.
dimming of power can damage
I've seen
your
it. I've
PC.
seen it happen to people, and they're like, "Oh, I never thought that was going to happen." Well, guess what?
Guess what? And unless your homeowner's insurance covers electronics specifically, nowadays, you're out of luck. You could be out $2,000, $3,000 for that brand new laptop that you just bought.
That's often an expensive rider.
It
Sometimes
is.
on household.
It is.
So
It's very
please
often an
protect yourself.
expensive rider.
Even the cheap stuff is better than nothing. Protect yourself.
Yes.
It
So,
seems
and
it's money well spent.
absolutely. And that is this week's tip of the week. Get yourself a surge protector, get yourself an uninterrupted power supply. Honestly, even at about
So
$100,
true.
125 to $150, somewhere in there, 100 to
You
150.
get good ones at that price. You get decent ones.
You can save your $3,000+
Mm-hmm.
laptop either for the office or for you. All right. And that
And your monitor and laptop, everything. It's great.
that that $100 to $150 is money well spent at that point. Yes, you may have to
Absolutely
buy a
true.
new one, but guess what? It's better than having to buy a brand new monitor, a brand new $3,000 computer. So there
Yep.
you go. So I'm going to go ahead now and move us to our pick of the week segment. And before we get to this week's actual pick, I want to take a moment to remind everybody that our show picks are typically hardware, software, and other items of interest that we have individually purchased and that we actually use and that we like enough that we want to recommend them to you, our growing listener base. These are not paid advertisements. These are not things that we have any kind of an affiliated marketing relationship with. If they were, the editorial policy over at iTechGear.org specifically indicates that we have to let you know that up front, i.e., before we tell you what the pick is. Um, these are just things that we sincerely believe in that we want to bring to you at the end of each show. Why, Chris?
Because we like you.
There you go, kids. And Chris, you've got the pick this week.
I
What do you got?
do. Well, this is something I've used for a few years now, and uh, I just bought the new version. I'll talk about it in just a moment here,
Okay.
and I'm talking about the Apple AirTags.
Oh, these
And
are awesome.
these really are, and you can buy one for $29, or you can buy a pack of four for $99. It hooks through your phone, through your iPad, through basically it ties to your Apple account and lets you
Mm-hmm.
track things. It's a tracker, it's and there's a lot of trackers out there. The AirTags have some features that I really have liked. They tend to bounce themselves off of any iDevices nearby, so you can track it in more places than you can some other trackers.
Mm-hmm.
They make a lot of noise in
They
general.
do. And
They
that
make
was
a
one of
good
the
amount of
that was
noise.
one of the big improvements out of this is that the noise that they make
Well,
was actually louder.
I'm gonna talk about the improvements in just a moment in
Oh,
this
awesome.
current
Awesome.
generation.
Good, 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 good,
So
good.
I've had the first generation AirTags for a few years, like I said,
Yep.
and I've used them in my luggage. I use them in my backpack when I carry it when I
Yep.
travel.
Yep.
I've used it. I have them on my car keys because
Oh my God.
I will occasionally drop my car keys. I've done it, kids. I've done it. So there you go. And a few other things. They now have cards. You can shove it into your wallet. You click it into the card and then put the card in your wallet.
Yep.
There's lots of things you can do with them. They're really 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 good, and they use a regular CR2032 battery, and
20,
so
2032,
it's
2025,
a
either one.
it's but the 2032s are easy to get. They're
Yep.
everywhere. You just put them in there. You're good to go.
And they last a
So
year.
they do. They last about a year. I just had one just start to complain to me that
Yep.
the battery was running low. It's like, oh,
Yep.
okay. And so I found these to be very, very practical. I've watched my luggage move at the airport
Yep.
as it goes through. It's fascinating to know your luggage got on the plane with you. It's nice
Yep.
to know.
And you're only able to track it because the baggage guy's got an iPhone.
Because the baggage guy's got an iPhone. That's why I know where it is. Or it
Yep.
gets close enough to my iPhone that I can see it. Either one of those things
Absolutely.
will let you see it. But so in the second generation, so I just bought the second generation ones this week. They just came out, what, a couple weeks ago? They haven't been out there very long.
I want to say about 3-4 weeks, but yeah,
3 or 4 weeks
it's
ago?
recent.
Okay.
It's recent.
Okay. So they did. And I decided, I was debating whether to get some of the second generation ones or not. Here's what made me ultimately decide to do it. The
Okay.
range on these is bigger, is longer and further than it's like 1.5 times the original length distance. I thought I had seen somewhere it was like up to 200 feet. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but the point is they go farther. You can see them for further away than the originals. They expanded the Bluetooth range. That was the wideband chip. The Bluetooth range expanded as well. It goes a bit farther before it needs to, kind of hit the network and go looking for things. And if you have a newer device, especially the newer Apple Watches, the Series 9 or later, the Ultra 2 or later, you can use precision finding,
Mm.
which really uses arrows to direct point you toward your on your watch. It helps you find the device in question or the
Man,
the
I'll tell
AirTag
you,
in
I
question.
can't tell you how many times a day I will go into one room and go back to where I was sitting and look for my phone and not have my phone and then
Mm-hmm.
and use Find My on my watch to go ahead and make the phone
Me too.
make a noise or whatever. Same thing with my keys, same thing with my backpack,
Yep.
backpack, where's the backpack, phone, where's the phone?
As I get older,
Rely on it all the
that
time.
happens more often. I use it all the time. The new ones are louder; they're 50% louder than the old ones. So if you do the
Hmm.
sound, like you said, it's easier to find. There's a slightly different startup and chiming sound that it
Yep.
makes. No, that's fine. It's slightly heavier than the old one because it's got that little bit beefier
Sure.
speaker, and they also put a little better shielding on it
Nice.
to try to keep it from being scammed or
Nice.
scanned. They apparently in the software have improved the anti-stalking features and revised the way you reset the device a little bit.
Which is always a
Um,
huge deal, and I love that.
so otherwise, same battery, same price point. It's still IP67 water and dust resistant. None of that's changed.
Nope.
It works the same way. It still fits in the same old. Even though it's a little heavier, it's not thicker, so
So
it fits in the same
new, improved,
containers
and less creepy.
and less creepy. And it still works in the same kind of third party accessories, keychain holders, and all that that it worked before. So
You know what I did recently is I actually Apple AirTagged my dogs.
I've actually had people say don't do that, and I didn't quite understand what the problem was, but they were saying not to do that to your animals.
All I'm going to say is that I co-own two of my three dogs. All right.
Gotcha.
Um, and at this point, um, this allows me to see where they are, regardless of where they are. And at
Yeah,
this point, it was very, very clear to me that my dogs, if they if the we have a fenced in backyard, my dogs will run
sure.
after dogs or people that they see
Yeah, mine
walking
too.
along the street, and I would rather them have the air tag on it so I can at least for a little
So,
while before the person gets savvy and rips the tag off and throws it in the
so,
in on the side of the road,
so,
know exactly
yeah.
where they were headed.
So the family dog here has a GPS tracker on his collar. It's a big chunky thing that's part of the collar. It's built into the
Hmm.
collar, and that's what they do. Here's why they say don't use an air tag on your animal. Here's the reasons they give. One is that it's a choking hazard. If it came off, they could choke on it. That its battery's toxic, and that it doesn't pass very well through their system if they do swallow it.
And all I
So
have to
those
say
reasons are why
is
they say that's why they say don't do it.
you have to have the right attachment. This thing needs to sit in something. Number one, it needs to
It
sit
needs
in
to be
something.
in something.
It needs to be in something and not just
Yeah,
duct taped to the collar. All right.
yeah.
But it needs to be in something. And we did the we did the responsible thing and found the right thing to stick them in. All right. And they are actually part of the actual collar. So it's not like it's going to come off.
That's fine. But
Somebody's,
those are the reasons
yeah.
that have been given. That's
Yeah,
that's what
and
that
I
was
get
all
that.
about.
And I get that. But
Me too. Me
still.
too.
But you know what, Chris?
Yeah.
That's the show for this week.
Well, how do you do us?
Well, there you go. This has been the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 167. Stop being so picky. Recorded live
Eh.
Sunday, April 5th, 2026, live from iTechGear Central for Mr. Chris Gavula and the absent brother Joe McLaughlin and Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin. This is Christopher Spera saying, hey,
And,
we'll see you next time.
and happy Easter,
And
everyone.
happy Easter.